in The Fate of Empires and the Search for Survival, which is an essay that was written in 1976 by John Bagot Glubb, he hypothesizes that empires go through 6 stages before their inevitable decline. The average empire lasts 330 years. The British Empire lasted from 1490 to 1960. The Roman Empire lasted 1,000 years. The Mongolian Empire lasted from 1206 until 1368. The Spanish Empire lasted from 1402 to 1976. The Arabic Empire lasted from 632 to 1258. The United States began in 1776. Considering that the Declaration was signed on July 4th, 1776, then it is 243 years old. But if we make it to that date, which I assume we will, then this country will be 244 years old. Now the 6 stages, according to Glubb, are 1, the age of pioneers. Typically, in the beginning of the country, you have people who are explorers. You have people that are revolutionary. Think of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, think of Columbus, think of Genghis Khan, think of people like that who are into conquest, conquering. Then you have the age of conquest. Think about Manifest Destiny. In the UK, they called it Divine Providence. But all of these countries have justification for conquering these smaller, weaker territories. It's always from a divine power. You have the age of commerce. Think of the early 1900s. Think of Andrew Carnegie. Think of David Rockefeller. Think of all those people. John D. Rockefeller, sorry. And then in the UK, you had the Industrial Revolution. The 4th stage is the age of affluence. The 5th is the age of intellect. That's typically when people think that they can solve problems through science and through their own minds. And I'm not saying science is bad. Science has given us a lot. But some people, they worship science, and they think science is the only solution to our problems. And they think because they went to college that they know more than you know. Then you have the age of decadence. Now, decadence, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, which I was when I was reading through the essay, is the moral or cultural decline as characterized by excessive indulgence in pleasure or luxury. Now, I could go into detail about every single empire. I will be doing further research on the British Empire, and I'll make that in another video, but due to time constraints, I will be more succinct. The British Empire, the Spanish Empire, the Roman Empire, the Mongolian Empire, the Arabic Empire, and the United States are the empires that I will do because of the similarities. So in the British Empire, you had Britain in the 16th century, 1601, they conquered Ireland from James I. And they signed a treaty with Spain, giving them virtually free reign. They also signed a couple things like the Navigation Acts of 1649 and 1660, the Staple Act of 1663, and the Plantation Act of 1673. And what they did was they only used British ships to ship all of their products. They also used the British East India Tea Company, which gained control over India, as you all may know if you've read even a snippet of British history. And that was considered the jewel of the crown, but they were explorers. They were into conquest. They were into gaining more of their territory through pioneers. Then you have the rise of the Spanish Empire. It's crazy to think that Spain was ruled by the Arabic Empire for 700 years. And the very year they became independent in 1492, Columbus had his voyage. The time period by which they expanded is insane. If you think about it, in 1496, they only had Santo Domingo, which was on Hispaniola. That was the only territory they had. But then, if you look at 1515, they had Cuba and Havana. They had islands of the Caribbean. And they had the Aztec Kingdom in 1521. They also had Guatemala, Nicaragua in 1524 and 1526. The southern part of Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia in 1530, and most of Chile in 1540. Also the east coast of Argentina in 1540. Spain did all of this on the other side of the ocean. Think about the amount of territory it was able to gain in a little less than 100 years. Now Rome, you have legends about the founding, Romeo and Romulus. But it was a republic until you had the conquest from Julius Caesar. And then after Julius Caesar, after he was killed on the Ides of March, you had the Civil War, which was between Mark Antony and Augustus Caesar. He ended up killing Cleopatra, Mark Antony, and gaining control over the empire. It was conquest. The rise of the Arabic Empire was in the 7th and 8th centuries, after Prophet Muhammad split Islam to multiple tribes. But it really began when he died in 632, because people that believed in Islam conquered surrounding territories. They conquered the Byzantine and the Persians. They conquered Syria, they conquered Egypt, they conquered Persia, they conquered North Africa, Palestine, Iraq, Armenia, Afghanistan, India, and Spain. All were under control for 600 years. And Islam was the most potent and vital religion, culture, and military force in the world. Then you have the Mongolian Empire, that you have Genghis Khan. He had a group of Mongols, and that's why today you hear people say you're acting like Mongols, right? Because they were considered barbaric, they were considered uncivilized, but they conquered a lot of the world. And then, of course, the United States, you have George Washington, who fought with the patriots of common people to defeat the British Empire. Now that we went over the age of pioneers, let's go over what led it to fail. I mean, I could go over every single empire, every single thing that happened, all the ages, but that will just take a shit ton of time, and I don't think you guys want to listen to me talk for longer than you already do. But you have the age of decadence. It is defined, and this is from Globe, as defensiveness, pessimism, materialism, frivolity. If something's frivolous, it has no meaning. So notice today, a lot of people in America have no meaning in their lives. They're not passionate about anything. They're not into anything. And I've even noticed when I speak passionately on the country or passionately about sports or business, people are like, "Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I'm not as boring as you. I actually have interest. I actually have passion. I actually have things that I'm into. But nothing matters. Oh, the world's going to end. Oh, we're terrible. Oh, humans are bad. Frivolity, pointless. An influx of foreigners. And foreigners themselves aren't bad, but you cannot be intellectually honest and tell me that people from other countries don't have different cultures, different religions, different ideologies, and different beliefs. But if you want to be that inconsistent, if you want to lie to me, then how do you explain the fall of the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire? You had an influx of what they called barbarians. Now the barbarians were called the barbarians because they went bar, 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 bar. They didn't understand their language. They were mainly Germanic and Celtic tribes, what we call today as the Anglo-Saxons. But that led to the fall of the Roman Empire. You had a lot of foreigners who overtook the population, and they changed the culture. That's what's happening today. You have a massive influx of immigrants who are going to end up overtaking the voting system. And the Democrats want this because they know that they typically vote Democrat. You had a massive welfare state. Speaking of the devil, according to Pew Research, most people who come from these countries support a massive welfare state. A weakening of religion. It's not just Christianity. If you look at Rome, when Constantine took over and he was really into Christianity, he got rid of paganism. And paganism was the foundation of Rome. Also in the Arabic Empire, they stopped believing in Orthodox Islam. America, whether you like it or not, according to the philosophers, according to our own documents, John Locke, William Blackstone, all of the foundational principles, was founded as a Christian country. I'm not Christian personally, but I'm intellectually honest.